I had this old bicycle sitting in my garage, gathering dust. It was still in good shape, but I hadn't used it in ages. So, I figured, why not sell it on Craigslist? I posted the ad and, to my surprise, got a message from someone named Alex. Alex seemed super keen on buying the bike and wanted to swing by that very evening to pick it up. I thought, great. It seemed like a simple and quick transaction. But as the day went on, things started feeling off. Around mid-afternoon, I heard whispers outside my window. It was strange, like someone talking softly, but when I peeked outside, there was nobody there. It gave me a shiver, but I brushed it off, thinking it was just my mind playing tricks. As evening drew closer, I heard slow footsteps from the back of my house. I live alone, so I wasn't expecting anyone. I tried looking outside, but it was too dark to see anything. My heart started racing, and I felt a bit scared. Right on time, when Alex was supposed to arrive, there was a knock at the door. I peeked through the peephole and saw someone standing there, but it wasn't Alex. It was a different person who said they were there to buy the bike. I felt a knot in my stomach but decided to get the bike. This person looked at it really closely, muttering to themselves the whole time. Then, out of the blue, they offered me way less money than I asked for. I declined, feeling uneasy about the whole situation. After they left, I closed the door, feeling a bit relieved but still on edge. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream rang out nearby. It was so loud, and it sent chills down my spine. I was terrified, so I called 911. While I was on the line, I heard scratching at the back door, like someone was trying to get in. My heart raced as I waited for the police to show up. When the police arrived, they found the person who came for the bike not far away. But here's where it gets really scary: the person wasn't alone. There was someone else lurking around, the one making those odd noises earlier. The police discovered tools in their bag meant for breaking into houses. These folks weren't interested in buying stuff, they were scoping out homes to rob. But here's the real shocker. Among their things, the police found a map with houses marked, including mine. Turns out, they had plans to break into my house that very night. I was petrified, realizing how close I came to a truly awful situation. Since then, I've been super cautious. No more selling things online for me, and I've made sure to beef up my home security. It's terrifying to think how easily things could have turned out so much worse. Right after college, I was looking for a place to live that wouldn't burn a hole in my pocket. Craigslist had this ad that looked perfect. The guy, let's call him Max, sounded friendly over the phone, and the house in the pictures looked cozy. So, I drove there, hoping it'd be a good find. But when I arrived, whoa, the house looked ancient, like it was from a different era. Inside, though, it was a different story, sparkling clean and modern. Max showed me around, and I thought, maybe it's not so bad. Days went by, nothing strange, except for one locked door. Max said it was just for storage, but here's the strange bit: he never mentioned a basement. Then, one spooky night, things took a weird turn. I couldn't sleep, and I heard Max sneaking out of his room, passing by mine, and unlocking that mysterious door. This became a routine, night after night. Enough was enough. One night, pretending to be asleep, I waited for Max's usual routine. As soon as I heard him fiddling with the lock, I jumped up and asked him straight out. That's when things went wild. He looked at me, eyes wide like he'd seen a ghost, mumbled something, and dashed into the dark woods behind the house, leaving me feeling pretty freaked out. I grabbed a flashlight, gathered my courage, and decided to check out the basement. But just as I approached the locked door, I heard eerie whispers and scratching noises. The creaking sound of the door opening echoed through the silence. I swallowed my fear, unlocked the door, and ventured downstairs. It was pitch black, and my heart raced like crazy. The air was musty, and I felt a shiver down my spine. Footsteps echoed in the dark, as if someone or something was lurking nearby. Using the flashlight, I stumbled upon a hidden room, dusty and forgotten. But what really got me scared wasn't the room itself, it was the sound of a radio playing static and faint eerie laughter. I bolted upstairs, packed my bags, and zoomed out of there, not stopping until I was far away. I never heard from Max again, and honestly, I didn't want to. Years passed, and I tried to put that night behind me. But then, strange things began happening. I heard whispers in my new place, footsteps that weren't mine, and the constant feeling of being watched. Knocking on the walls became a nightly occurrence, as if someone was desperately trying to communicate. One day, a package arrived. Inside was a photo of the demolished house and a note that said, "You think you're safe, but they're closer than you imagine. Don't turn around." As if that wasn't enough, strange symbols started appearing around my new place, and I began having vivid nightmares of that hidden room. I started noticing people watching me from afar, always in the shadows. That's when I stumbled upon a newspaper clipping about the old house. Turns out, the house wasn't just demolished, it vanished into thin air. People reported weird happenings in the area, strange figures lurking around the woods. Scary laughter echoed through the night, chilling me to the bone. I tried to shake off the fear, but it felt like someone or something was following me. And then one night, as I glanced out my window, I saw those eerie figures standing in the shadows, staring right at me with glowing eyes. The eerie music played from an unknown source, creating an atmosphere of terror. That's when I realized they weren't after the house. They were after whoever dared to leave it. I'm a regular guy in my late 20s, living in a suburban neighborhood. This happened a while back, but it still gives me the chills when I think about it. You know, it all started with a simple quest for a dining table. I'd moved into a new place and was on the hunt for some decent furniture. But let's be real, good furniture on a budget isn't the easiest find. So, like any modern person, I turned to Craigslist. One evening, after sifting through countless ads, I found what seemed like a perfect fit. A sturdy wooden table, just the right size for my dining area, and most importantly, well within my budget. The seller, let's call him John, seemed pretty laid back in our emails. No red flags, nothing out of the ordinary. He was responsive and eager to make the sale. We scheduled to meet at his place one weekday evening after I got off work. Driving up to his house, everything looked normal, suburban calmness and all. But there was this strange sense of quietness around the neighborhood. I shrugged it off, assuming people were probably at work or running errands. John's house was a quaint little place, well-kept lawn, and a small porch with a couple of chairs. I parked, double-checked the cash in my wallet, and made my way to the front door. When I got there, the door was slightly ajar. Creaking. I knocked lightly, but no answer. I could see the lights were on inside, and for a second, I thought maybe he hadn't heard me. So, I leaned over, creaking, peeked in, and called out for John. Silence. Not even a creak from inside. It was odd, to say the least. But then again, it was Craigslist, and sometimes things just get a bit weird. Just as I was about to leave, I heard footsteps approaching the door from inside. The door creaked open, and there he was, John, or at least, the guy who was supposed to be John. He was a big guy, broad shoulders, and he had this intense look in his eyes that I didn't see coming. But hey, I'm not one to judge based on appearances. He invited me in, and that's when things took a weird turn. Whispers lingered in the air, faint but discernible. The inside was dimly lit, and I noticed a weird smell lingering in the air, like something burnt. The table was in the adjacent room, and I tried to focus on it, hoping to just get the deal done and leave. I barely glanced at the table before I said, "Looks great. I'll take it." I was ready to pay and dash out of there. but as I held out the cash, the guy just stared at me, studying me almost. Without a word, he snatched the money and then forcibly escorted me towards the door, his grip firm on my shoulder. I was taken aback, to say the least. I managed to mumble something about the change, but he just grunted and practically shoved me out. I didn't dare protest. I just bolted to my car and drove away. It was bizarre, but I chalked it up to a weird encounter and decided to forget about it. That was until a few days later when I stumbled upon a local news story. The headline sent shivers down my spine. Turns out, the guy I'd met wasn't John. John, the real owner of the house, had been found tied up in the basement by a neighbor who heard strange noises. The imposter had managed to trick me, rob John, and nearly got away with it. And the kicker? He'd used John's identity online, posting ads and setting up meetings, luring unsuspecting buyers like me. I shuddered, thinking how close I'd been to who knows what. It was a wake-up call, that's for sure. From that day on, I stick to store-bought furniture. No more Craigslist adventures for me.